Wonderful afternoon. Oh, it's the end of another week. We've made it. Can you believe it? This has been a very, very busy week. I know a lot of people have been traveling back and forth to Tucson this week. A lot of people have been just doing a lot of things in general. Some parts of the country are snowed in. Other parts of the country have had severe thunderstorms. Everybody has had a little bit of something going on this week. And I think we can all collectively just take a sigh. Now we've made it to the end of the week. Some of us are closer than others, but listen, West Coasters, you're going to be making your way right up here to the end of the day, just like the rest of us are. We're just holding it down for you till you get here. Happy to see all of you. Oh, hello, Michelle. Hello. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Katie. It's good to see you. Hey, Kat. Janice is here. Sandy's here. The party can start. Let's do this. Let's do it. All right. I've got a fun show for you guys today, and I have a request, and it's not necessarily that this is a request. This just happens to be something that I get asked about a lot, and I have taught this previously, but I'm going to teach it to you again, and I'm going to give you a breakdown. So what you can expect for today's show, we're going to do a little bit of designing. We're going to do a little bit of math. I'm not good. Let's say I'm only good at one of those things. So if you're like me and you're only good at one of those things and math is the one that you're not so great at, I'm going to walk you through how to figure this out in a way that hopefully is going to make sense and you will never have to question it again. And that is how to make something adjustable and what the adjustability is, because it's more than just a little bit of guessing. Like there's actually some thought that needs to go into this, and so I'm going to walk you through all of that. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you some really beautiful beads. I've got some seed bead choices that you can pop in between these gorgeous beads. I've got a tiara cast little charm pendant link that I think is super cute, that is definitely screaming spring, not springing scream. Wow. Friday, it's Friday. That's how you know. Has to happen at least once, right? And I have some cord that I think that you guys are going to like, but I'm also going to talk about what your other options are. So if all of this sounds like something that you would be interested in, then you are in the right place. Now, if you would like to shop today's show while we are getting into all of the goodness that I have for you guys, there's a shopping bag on the side of your screen, and you can click on that. It's going to bring up all of the items that are in today's show, because sometimes I don't really wax poetic on jump rings and head pins and eye pins and hardware type things, but rest assured they're always in the show. So if you need to stock up on those things, the ones that I'm using in the project in particular, it's a really good opportunity to do so. I also have your deal of the week for you guys. I hope you've been checking that out. Deal of the week. Every week we've got a new deal to offer you guys. This week it is a Bead Llama limited edition designer bead blend in Fairy Forest. It's so beautiful. If you need a little dose of springtime in your designing or just in your day in general, pour this one in a little bowl and just set it to the side so you've got it to look at. This is your dose of spring, because I know some of you are still trying to thaw out there. This one is regularly priced at $18.99, but your deal of the week price is $9.95. You want to add that to your cart. And guys, listen, don't forget that any cart that reaches the total of $49 is going to ship for free. That means that we pay to ship it to you. So fill everything up. Grab all the beads in today's show, grab that deal of the week, and then be sure that you're checking back next week to find out what next week's deal of the week is going to be for that week. All right, I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started. All right, so let's look at some beady goodness, and then we will look at some cord, and then we will get into today's project. I've got a full sample for you guys to look at, but let's talk about beads first, because I am a pearl girly. I totally love a good pearl, and I don't even care if it's a real pearl. I don't care if it's a check glass pearl. I don't care if it's a prestige pearl. I don't even care if it just has the pearl color and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just glass. I'm not picky, but this is a beautiful choice. This is a prestige 8mm Baroque round pearl in cream color. So it has that Baroque shape to it, meaning this is not a perfectly round bead. This is a beautiful bead that has that kind of irregular shape to it so that it looks more natural, looks more reminiscent of a actual Baroque pearl. It's really pretty. This cream color is fantastic. And this is pearls you can use anytime, right? It's not season specific. But I think a lot of times when we think about springtime, pearls tend to be something that we all kind of gravitate towards, just because they work so well with other spring colors and pastels. And you can really kind of dress them up or dress them down. These are so, so pretty. So if you are interested in grabbing some pearls that are not round, this is a really, really nice option. So that's what I'm going to be using in today's project. I also have some seed beads here. Now I've picked out a couple of different color choices of seed beads for you guys just to give you some options, but they're all in this blue color. And I say blue, and I kind of mean blue, green, gray. It's this weird kind of, I'm not sure what you want to call it. This is not your just average run-of-the-mill blue. This is a blue that has a little bit of everything in it. And there's a couple of different ones in today's show. As I mentioned, you can click on that shopping bag to check those out and pick one out, put one in your cart. You can even check out, like actually check out while you're watching the show. But I felt like I needed to offer a couple of different variations in this blue color because not everybody is going to love this one. So there's a couple to choose from, but I think that any of the choices that I picked out looks really beautiful with the pearls, and it looks really good with the cord that I have picked out today. So let's talk about our cord, and then we'll circle back around again, and I'm going to show you guys some crystals and our little pendant. So the cord that I'm going to be using is this really awesome 1mm lovely knots knotting cord. I currently am obsessed with all things knotting cord. So Chinese knotting cord, you know, I think there's a couple of different versions, a couple of different brands that are out there, but it's all pretty much made the same, and it comes in a lot of different millimeter sizes. The 1mm is my favorite because it's nice and thin, but you still have all of the structure and the need that you get from the thicker ones, right? Which is kind of what makes this cool, because it's like soft and supple, but also is going to stand up. It has a 1mm diameter, which means that it's going to fit into some beads that have a little bit larger of a hole. But we're going to use this for our adjustability portion of our bracelet. And the cool part about this is that Chinese knotting cords or Asian knotting cords or any of the nylon cords are going to come in a whole variety of colors. So you're going to be able to find one that really matches your project. I chose this beautiful like teal green one to go with our blue green seed beads and our pearls for today. I thought this was a really pretty color combination, and if you're not loving the seed bead color, pick one of the other ones that I've selected for today. But I thought this was a really nice combination. It definitely has that springtime feeling to it, and I just thought this was really pretty. So in addition to this, I also have added, because you guys know I got to do some dangles with things, I've added a couple of other elements. So I have some bicones here. These are Prestige bicones in light turquoise. They're 5mm, which is a really nice size. It's not as small as a 4 and not as big as a 6. It's that really nice little sweet spot. I've got some metal beads. If you need metal beads, this is a great opportunity to stock up on those. And I also have this really beautiful Botanical Birds link from Tiara Cast. And you'll notice this has 4 openings on it. So you can connect dangles from it. You could use it as a focal for a bracelet. You could use it as the focal for a necklace. You could use these as drops for an earring and have your ear wire here and then dangle a bead from it. Like, this is a really versatile little component that I thought was absolutely beautiful. I really, really love this one. Even the back of it is nice. You guys know when it comes to Tiara Cast, the quality is always fantastic and their designs are beautiful. So this is definitely no exception. I thought that this was a nice little choice. So these are all of the things plus the findings. And as I mentioned, you can click on that shopping bag to bring up any of the findings that you might need to stock up on. I've got some bead stringing wire, all the tools, anything you see in the show today, you're going to be able to shop on by clicking on that shopping bag. But these are the elements that we're going to combine to put together a really beautiful bracelet. So let me show you what the bracelet looks like, and then we are going to get into it. So Susie's got a question here. Susie says, What are the pros and cons with waxed and unwaxed? We're going to get into all of that, so stick around. I don't want to just jump right in and answer that question right this second, because I do want to talk about that as we are putting our design together. But that's a really good question, and I definitely have the answer for you. So I am looking forward to getting into that. So this is our bracelet. Now there's a couple of things going on here with this bracelet that I thought were kind of cool. This bracelet is cheating in so many different ways. So this bracelet is giving you the look of knotted pearls without it actually being knotted pearls. And that is because of those little seed beads that I've popped in between here. So instead of taking the time to get your silk cord and your knotter tool and starting out and getting everything together and following all those steps to do the hand knotting, I just jumped ahead of the line here and I popped a seed bead in between each one of those pearls so that it looks like I used this most beautiful blue silk cord to knot these. You could literally do this in any color seed bead that you wanted to get the same look, and you're still protecting your pearls because they're spaced out. You're not using nearly as many pearls because they're spaced out, and you still get that traditional knotted pearl look without having to actually do the knotting. So guys, seed beads are your friend. I know there are a lot of you out there that already know that, but there are some of you that are still kind of on the fence about seed beads because you don't do bead weaving. But even stringers and wire workers can tell you that having some seed beads in your stash is really nice because you can use them as spacer beads. You can use them for little pops of color. It's just a really nice addition to everything. And I thought that it worked beautifully here. It's not overpowering. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first, is we're just going to string up our bracelet. We're going to count the pearls here and do all of that. And then we're going to take a measurement. Then we're going to do this adjustable part. The adjustable part is really important. Now, this is not a hard thing to do, but this is going to save you so much trouble. So many of us are getting ready for craft shows for the spring and summer. So many of you are building up your websites because you're getting ready for your big grand opening for the spring and summer. Maybe you're filling up your Etsy shop with all of your new designs. And one of the number one problems that designers face is knowing what size bracelet to make for customers or loved ones for gifts. And being able to create an adjustable bracelet or an adjustable design, because you can do this on necklaces, is a wonderful way to make sure that you don't have to stress over the answer to that question, because this is going to fit a wide selection of sizes. And it is really easy to do. You can do it in a lot of different colors. You can do it in different materials. And I'm going to show you how to work this out with the math part. I know it's scary, but we're going to do that with the math portion. And we're going to talk about how to make this work for you. Not only that, but it's a really trendy kind of design. Lots of friendship bracelets these days that have this adjustability on them. So I think that it's just a really cool way to take the traditional style of a pearl bracelet and kind of, bring it into the modern day. But you can do this with any beads at all. So let's get started with our stringing portion. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pearls. So we're going to get our pearls here. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so there are our pearls. We've got our seed beads. We're going to go ahead and get our bead stringing wire ready to go. Wanda's here. Hey, Debbie. Nicole, of course, is here. I saw Nicole when she came in earlier. We've got Deb and Debbie. And I'm willing to bet there's more than one Deb and more than one Debbie here, too. just a guess. All right, so now we're going to take some of the bead stringing wire. This is my current obsession for bead stringing wire, guys. This is the Art Beads Designer jewelry wire, the medium in clear 49 strand. This is a 0.019 inch diameter. This is my go-to for everything. I absolutely love this wire. It feels so nice and supple in your hands, and the packaging is wonderful. It is the most stress-free packaging you could possibly imagine. And I know that on here before we've talked about how this could actually create world peace. This packaging is so good. All right, so I'm just going to close that back. I'm going to use my cutter tool. If you want the cutter tool or any of the tools that you see me using today, they are in the show. All right. Hi, Lynn, I forgive you. I'm just glad you're here. Julie says, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Do you even have to ask? I think we all, okay, I don't want to say that I know for sure who's going to win, but I think everybody knows who I want to win the Super Bowl. That's probably a more obvious question. All right, I'm going to thread on my wire guardian and my crimp here. So my wire is going up through both of those. I'm going to come back down through the wire guardian and then down through the crimp. All right, and the goal here, of course, is to make sure that those wires are running parallel inside that crimp bead, that they are not crisscrossing inside there. You want those wires to not touch each other. You want one on one side and one on the other side. So then when you come in with your crimper, has that tooth that's coming down, that tooth is going to help to separate those wires out even further inside that crimp so they will not touch. So you're going to place that into the back notch of your crimper tool. And then you're going to give that a squeeze. And you can see how that tooth comes down. It creates that space, right? It's like building a wall between those two wires to keep them from touching each other. Then you're going to turn that sideways. You're going to put it into the front notch of the crimper tool. And then you're going to give that a squeeze. And it's just going to make it a little bit more compact so that it is out of the way and it does not take away from your overall design. You're going to come in with your cutter and you're going to trim off the excess. Wanda, everything is about food with you. You and Nicole. It's always about food. I love it. I love it. All right, so now I'm going to take some of my seed beads. I'm going to dump some of these out. Just a few, trying not to make an enormous mess here. Dump out a few of those. All right, and we're just going to string this up. So there's nothing hard here. We can go through this pretty quickly. We're going to string our pearls and then a seed bead. We're going to do one of each until we have all of our beads. The stringing part of this is pretty standard. This is not where the main technique other than the crimping lies in this project. It's more about the adjustable section of this. That's where we're really going to kind of get down and dirty and talk about some important things. So stick around. You don't want to miss that. While you're watching me string up these pearls and seed beads though, gosh, that's such a pretty combination. So pretty. It's just a little pop of color in between there. Now, if you don't like that pop of color, you could do a cream seed bead for sure. But while I'm stringing these up, guys, don't forget that while you are over on the artbeads.com website, be signing up for that newsletter so that you can stay in the know of everything that is art beads related. And trust me when I say you want to be signed up and you want to be in the know. You don't want to miss anything because the year is just getting started. We have some amazing things coming your way for 2025 at artbeads.com, and we don't want you to miss out on any of the fun. So sign up for that newsletter. Be sure you're signing up for the text messages to get your notifications for when the lives are going to happen. Set your reminders, make yourself a little schedule so that you don't miss any of the live shows that we do. And of course, while you're there, check out the deal of the week. This week, it is that beautiful designer bead blend in the Fairy Forest mix, which is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I forgot my seed bead. Hold on. And check out all of the other amazing things that are going on. We're celebrating dollar days on the website right now, so definitely take advantage of that. $1, $2, and $3 deals going on. And if your cart reaches that $49 mark, everything ships for free. So take advantage. It's a really good time of year to be stocking up because who knows what the spring and summer is going to bring you design-wise. If you're somebody who does a lot of wedding jewelry, you know that grabbing these pearls and some of the other ones is going to be you're going to be really glad that you did that now instead of waiting until the last minute. Katie says, does a newsletter cost anything? Absolutely not. Katie, you can sign up for that for free. Doesn't cost a thing. They just send it to you in your email and they don't spam you. Only send you the information that you want. Lynn says she loves the pearls and the turquoise together. I do too. I do too. I think it's such a pretty combination. All right. All right, we're pretty close to the end here. Now, this is important. And this is important because we need to take note of the size of this once we get this crimped. This is all going to go into our math problem that we're going to be doing here in just a very few moments, okay? So when you get to the end, go ahead and crimp. Don't take your measurement yet, okay? Don't take your measurement yet, but go ahead and put your hardware on the end. Go ahead and get it crimped and trim off your excess, and then get out your ruler. All right, so same steps as before, even though we're right up against some beads here. Make sure your wires are not crisscrossing. You're going to place that into the back notch of your crimper tool. And you're going to give that a squeeze. You're going to turn it sideways, put that into the front notch of the crimper tool, give that a squeeze, and then you're going to trim off your excess. Okay, now at this point, you can do just a regular traditional bracelet if you want to, right? You could literally just put a couple of jump rings and a clasp on here and call it a day. However, you're only going to get one size out of that, right? And we are looking to expand the possibilities of sizes so that we can take care of all of our customers, all of our friends, all of our family, and we don't have to keep like this running list of who wears what size. Because even though there are some industry standards as far as sizes and lengths are concerned, men versus women and necklaces and that whole thing, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because so many people kind of fall in between sizes somewhere. So this is a really good way to take care of all of those in between sizes as best as you possibly can. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you are going to, well, we're going to lift up just a little bit so we can have a little bit more room here. But we are going to bring in our ruler and we're going to measure, and our bracelet is right at 6.5 inches. Okay, so the bead length, the beaded section is 6.5 inches. Okay, write that down or commit it to memory, but that's what you got to know so far, 6.5 inches. Okay, now if I were to add 2 jump rings and a clasp to this, that's going to give me an additional inch. That's going to put me right at 7.5 inches, which, just for your information, is the standard size for a women's bracelet. But we're trying to do better than that. So we're going to sit this to the side and we're going to bring in some of this cord, okay? And we don't really have to have a measurement for this cord just yet, but it is going to come into play here in just a second. So what we want to do is we want to take some of our cord, probably give ourselves, I don't know, 10 inches, 2 pieces that are about 10 inches long. I don't think you're really going to need any more than that. I think that that's going to be overkill. If you do more than that, you're probably going to end up with too much cord. We don't want to waste, right? But something like 10 inches is going to be plenty. And you're going to need 2 pieces of that. So I measured my first piece, and then I'm going to measure my second piece right up against it. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take each one of those pieces and I'm going to thread one through the wire guardian on one end of the bracelet. And then I'm going to bring the ends together so that the wire guardian sits in the middle. And then I'm going to tie an overhanded knot. And I'm going to pull that knot down as close to the wire guardian as I can get it, just to secure that to the end of the bracelet. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And another overhanded knot. And then I'm just going to pull that down again as close to the wire guarding as I can get it. Okay. All right, so this is what I've got. Now, what I want to do is I want to take these cords and I want to run them in opposite directions of each other. Okay, so the ones up here are going to run down. The ones down here are going to run upwards. Just like that. Running in opposite directions. Now, you can clip these if you've got like little clips or something that you can use to keep these together. I'm going to use these little clamps that I have, but you could use like painter's tape, use your tying station if it makes it easier for you to like keep these all together. Sometimes I use like those little folder clips, just whatever I've got on hand to put all these side by side, run them together, and I don't have to worry while I am doing some knotting. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a knotted section here of square knots. And we need to take into consideration what the smallest size of this bracelet, what we want the smallest size of this bracelet to be. So we know how big of a section to do the knotting. So in other words, okay, let's pretend for just a second that the bracelet was, just like I said, 6.5 inches, okay? Now, this little section right here, however long this section is when it is pulled tight, completely closed, that's going to add additional length to our bracelet. So let's look at this real quick. Let's measure this section. Okay, so that's about 1 inch. So if my bracelet is 6.5 inches and I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knots plus the knots that are on the ends here, that's going to give me an additional length of bracelet. So that means that when my bracelet is closed, it is at its shortest length, completely pulled tight. This is a 7.5 inch bracelet. That's the starting measurement, okay? That is the smallest that your bracelet can possibly be. If you want it to be smaller, then you need to do fewer knots, right? So if you wanted more like a 7-inch bracelet, you're probably only going to do maybe 3 knots, plus the 2 knots you have on the end to give you a 1/2 inch. 1 inch is pretty good. And of course you can always adjust this with your stringing as well. If you wanted to like take a bead off, you could do that too. But remember that you're going to stick to about 1 inch. Any more knots than 5 with this 1mm cord is going to add additional length. We don't necessarily want our additional length to be there. We want that to be in the adjustability portion of this because we need the smallest version of this bracelet to be pretty close to what the industry standard is, which would be 7.5 inches. I hope that I did not completely confuse you. Let's focus on the square knots here, and then we will talk about the open adjustability of this. So I'm going to take another piece of my cord here, probably another 12 inches of cord is probably way more than I need. Okay, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it behind all of these cords that I have running back and forth here. Okay, and I'm just going to do a standard square knot. So I'm going to take my right cord and make a P shape, crossing over the top of my core, which is all of these cords running up and down. Okay. I'm going to take my left-handed cord, I'm going to cross over that, and then I'm going to go behind all of the core and up through that P shape on the right, whoops, and I'm going to pull. Now I want to pull tight, but I don't want to like pull it so tight that I can't adjust this bracelet. So make sure your knot is nice and secure, but you don't want to get crazy like Hulk strength on this, okay? Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to start on the left. So we're doing our backwards P shape with our left cord, crossing over the core. The right-handed cord is going to cross over that, and then you're going to go behind and up through that P shape or backwards P shape on the left, and you are going to pull. That's going to give you a square knot. So the square knot happens in 2 steps. So that's 1. We're going to do 4 more of those. Okay, so P shape on the right, left cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and pull. Whoa. I don't know what the heck just happened. Hold on. I got a little crazy there. Let's do that again. Okay. Left cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and we pull. There we go. I was pulling nothing. Okay. Backwards P shape on the left, right cord crosses over the top of that, goes behind all of the core and up through, and pull. Okay. P shape on the right, left cord crosses over, behind all of those, up through, and pull. Finish that one off with the backwards P shape. The right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through, and pull. We now have 3 knots. 1, 2, 3. We need 2 more. P shape, left cord crosses over, behind and up through, pull. Okay, left cord, backwards P shape, right cord crosses over, behind and up through, and pull. There's 4. We're going to do 1 more. P shape, behind and up through, and pull. And then our backwards P shape, right cord crosses over, goes behind and up through. Okay, now this is where the answer to the question about wax cord versus this nylon, Chinese cord, the silk cords, the satin cords, this is where this all becomes pretty important, because this is really going to kind of help determine what you think is going to be the easiest for you. First of all, here is our little section of our knots. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square knots. We need to deal with our ends, and then we need to talk about the length of our section and the adjustability of that. But let's address that first one about the cords. So with the Chinese knotting cords, any of your nylon cords, your recycled cords that are made out of recycled plastics, things like that, those are meltable. Those are my favorite because I do not have to mess with glue. I can trim the ends. I can melt the ends. I can melt the ends with a cord burner. I can melt the ends with a lighter. And traditionally for any kind of Chinese knotting or just knotting in general, nautical knots and things like that, the melting of the ends is what makes everything look nice and clean and is the most common for this kind of thing. So I am all about the Chinese knotting cords, the Asian cords, any of those, okay? I love them because I can melt them. However, if you decide that this kind of cord is not for you and you want to use leather or you want to use hemp or you want to use cotton cord or waxed linen, you're going to have to handle all of those a little bit differently. So when it comes to leather, you're going to need to obviously use some glue. You're going to need to figure out what you're going to do with your ends in a situation like this. It's almost impossible to hide your ends, at least in this section. So I don't necessarily recommend doing an adjustable section with leather. Now you can do it over the top of leather. I think that looks fantastic. So if you wanted to do leather cords and then do the knotting section in like S-Lon over it, you can do that. But to do the actual adjustability with leather is very hard to work with, and it ends up where your ends are very bulky and big and heavy and just chunky. With things like cotton cord, things like hemp, you're going to need to turn everything over, okay? And you're going to tie an overhanded knot, and you're going to put that knot up against the back of this, and you're going to use the tiniest little bit of glue, and you're going to glue it, and then you're going to let the glue dry, and then you're going to trim your ends. And there's nothing wrong with that. From the front, it looks clean. However, there's clearly a front and clearly a back. With your waxed linens, they will melt to a degree, but 9 times out of 10, they just want to catch on fire. And obviously, you don't want to burn through at this point because you're going to have to start all over again. Do I think that there's a place for all of those? Of course I do. Do I think that it's worth it to figure out ways to finish off projects that you don't melt? I 100% do. But for something like this one, I think that melting is quick, it's easy, it's clean, and I don't have to overthink it. I don't have to add extra hardware, and I don't have to bring in any glue. So I definitely recommend considering each option, because at some point you're going to have to deal with your ends. So for me, at least for this project, I'm going to trim as close as I can get it. And then I'm going to use a lighter that I have no idea what happened to. Give me just a second. Where did that lighter go? Oh, okay. All right, I didn't have to travel far. All right, I'm going to use the lighter. And I just want to get it close. I don't want to set it on fire. I just want to get it close and start to melt it. And when it melts, then you're going to tap it down with your finger, right? And it's going to glue itself. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to trim. And then I'm just going to melt and tap it down. Now I don't have to worry about tying a knot, having a knot that sits up against my skin or anything like that. It's clean, it's done, and most designs that you're gonna like buy that are pre-made are gonna be, that's the way they're gonna handle that. So it looks really good. And not that there's anything wrong with tying a knot. There's not. But at least for this, I'm a fan. Okay, now we need to make sure that our ends don't pull through, but first we're going to check our adjustability by pulling it as short as we can get it. Okay, so that's the shortest length. We can double check with our ruler to make sure, yep, looks like about an inch, maybe just a little over an inch. So now we have at the smallest a 7.5 inch bracelet, but we want this to be able to accommodate some other sizes. So how do we figure that in? We figure that in with where we place our knot on these cords to keep them from slipping inside here. So I like to do this with a bead. That's where these metal beads are going to come into play. Just for some extra, you know, razzle dazzle. I don't know. I don't know that just a plain silver bead causes razzle dazzle, but I mean, I guess it could. Just a little extra decorative element here. I'm going to thread on a silver bead. Now you don't have to, you can just tie a knot. But I'm going to tie that, or I'm going to thread that onto the cord ends. And I'm just going to slide it up here because I don't want to use that as part of my measurement. I don't want to confuse myself, but the length that's inside there still going to apply. So what I want is maybe to put this knot at the 2 inch mark. Okay. So I'm going to hold that with my finger and I'm going to tie an overhanded knot with my 2 cords. My cords are a little short, so it's a little tricky. Okay, before I pull this knot tight, again, with my ruler, I'm gonna come out here. Okay, I want to slide that down to the 2 inch mark, and then I'm gonna cinch that down. Okay, so I cinch that down. I can drop my bead down, it's nice and pretty. Okay. Going to trim my ends. You can trim your ends and leave them, or you can trim your ends and melt them. I'm all about melting the ends. So I'm going to melt. Okay, so now we've added 2 inches to our bracelet already, right? So now we've gone from a 7 inch bracelet, I'm sorry, a 7.5 inch bracelet to a 9.5 inch bracelet, right? And we're going to add an extra 2 inches on the other side because remember, this is going to expand in both directions. So same thing over here. We're going to take our metal bead. Definitely melted some of that onto my finger. It's okay. I have mom hands. You know how they say that mom hands can't feel heat? Like you can touch the stove and it's over. I totally have mom hands. Heat's not one of those things that really gets to me. All right, my metal bead on the end. Maybe I'll get my bead on the end. This takes a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna tie our overhanded knot, and we want this knot to be in the same place. We don't want these to be in two different places. That's gonna be a little wonky. So bring your ruler in again and bring that knot out here to the 2-inch mark. Give it a pull. Set that knot in place. Pull both ends. Okay, bring your bead down, and then you're gonna trim and melt, or just trim and leave it. It's whatever you wanna do. All right, so melting the ends, melt, 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 tap that down. Okay, now I'm not done because I'm going to add a dangle to this, but I don't want to move on to the decoration part of this until we discuss what we've actually accomplished here. Because what we have here is a bracelet that is going to accommodate several different sizes. It's going to take up a wide range, right? Because what we have at our smallest is a 7.5-inch bracelet, but at our fullest, because we have an additional 2 inches on each side, we're going to add to that. We now have a bracelet that is going to accommodate anything between 7.5 and 9 inches of size. That is going to take care of a huge group of your customer base. And the longer you make this section, the bigger the bracelet will be. So if you added 3 inches, you're going to go up. You're going to add an additional, couple of inches every time you add length to this section. So not only is it important that you have these beads here to keep your cord from slipping inside your adjustability, but this is also going to mark the biggest size that your bracelet will be. So when it comes to making adjustable bracelets, don't just guess at it and be like, oh, I'm just going to throw this in here willy-nilly and, I'll put an adjustable thing on it, but I don't really know for sure how much size or how many different sizes this is going to accommodate, because you will have a customer that's going to say, okay, this bracelet is adjustable, but what's the biggest size? It never fails. Somebody will ask, and you need to be able to answer that question. So this is your way of knowing 7.5 at the smallest, 9.5 at its largest, and then you can make another bracelet that, is the exact same thing, but is going to accommodate the next little group of sizes up, or a smaller set that's going to do a smaller section. So don't just go at it and be like, well, it's adjustable, that's good enough. No. Include this information in your listing. Include this information for your customers. They're going to appreciate that so much. And using this beautiful cord, you're going to add a pop of color. It's going to be part of your design. You can do it in this Asian knotting cord. You can do it in different colors. You can do it with Eslon. You can do it with hemp. You can do it with anything that you want to, right? Just know that this one in particular will melt. The Eslon will melt. It'll give you nice clean ends, and you don't have to use any glue, okay? All right, now, just because we're done with the bracelet doesn't mean that we're not going to add some dangles, because that's the way I do things. So I'm going to use this little link. I'm going to hook that on there, and I'm also going to wire wrap 2 of these beautiful bicones to add to this as well. So let's do those first. I'm going to thread each one of my bicones onto a head pin, and grab my tools here. If you need to stock up on tools, I've got you covered. I've got these Xuron pliers here in my hand. You can shop on those by clicking on that shopping bag. I'm going to bend the wire over the top of my pliers, and then I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to take that wire up and over, rotate, take the wire over to the other side, and then I'm going to wire wrap in that space in between. All right, and then I'm going to use my cutter tool to trim off the excess wire. Use your ends, or tuck your ends with your pliers. I'm going to do another one. Same thing. Chain nose pliers are coming in, bend the wire. Round nose pliers are coming in, up and over. Rotate, take the wire over to the other side, and then wire up. Okay, trim off the excess. Wanda says, Xuron tools, worth every penny. I agree, could not agree more. Absolutely, abso-stinkin-lutely. All right, now I'm gonna use a jump ring here. If you need some jump rings, grab yourself some. I've got some in the show for you. I'm gonna grab a 4mm and a 6mm or a 5mm, whatever you like to use. Let's see. Where my jump rings go? Got all my 4mm, but you can actually do this with 2 4mm if you wanted to. It's whatever you want to do. All right, I'm going to take my pliers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up jump ring. I'm going to thread on my dangles. Actually, I put those onto the 4mm jump ring first. Sorry. I had to double check my sample. So I'm going to open up this little 4mm jump ring and I'm going to thread on both of my dangles. And then I'm going to close that back. Then I'm going to open up the bigger jump ring. I'm going to hook that to that. I'm going to attach my little charm here and then hook that onto one of the wire guardians. You could put this in the middle. You could hook it between some between your pearls on top of a seed bead if you wanted to. It's totally up to you. Make sure you get a good closure on that, and there you go. So now, not only do you have this beautiful little pearl bracelet, but you've got a beautiful pearl bracelet that's got a little extra something special. You have your beautiful little charm with some pretty little crystals hanging on it. You've got your metal beads as some decorative accents and those gorgeous seed beads running through there. If this color combination is not your favorite, you definitely can find something on the website that will work for you. And you don't just have to do this with pearls. You can literally do this with anything. Do this with any of the cords that you want, any charm that you want. But I thought this was a pretty little combination that just kind of whispers, don't worry, spring's gonna be here soon. It's just hang on, everybody, just hang on. All right, guys, I'm going to turn you around. I'm going to check through the comments here real quick to make sure that I haven't missed anything major. And I'm going to hold this up for you guys to see it from this point of view, because sometimes it's nice just to see the colors a little bit differently than what they look like when they are up against that bead mat. Love this bracelet. I think it is so pretty. Let's put it on. You want to? It's probably going to be a little big for me because I'm one of those people who my wrist, I really need like a 6. No, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. It's so pretty. So pretty. Really, really love that. All right, let's see. Oh, running through the comments here. If you've got any questions last minute, this is a great opportunity to ask those. Lots of people loving today's project. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon. I always love that this is the way that I get to finish off my week. For those of you who are here for the first time, thanks for joining us. Be sure you set your reminders because I'm here same time, same place every week on Fridays. And you can also set your reminders to check out the other amazing designers that are part of the artbeads.com design team. You don't want to miss out on any of their designs, their lives. It is awesome. Let's see. So many seed beads to choose from. I don't think I've missed any major questions today. I hope that I was able to explain this to you guys in a way that made it easy for you to understand, because I feel like You know, I feel like a lot of times people just throw together an adjustable bracelet, or they don't throw it together and they're not really sure where to get started. And the square knots are an easy way to do it. You can do it with other things. I like the square knot the best. I love this cord. It's lightweight. It's a beautiful color. It comes in different colors. So if you wanted to try something different, you absolutely can do that. But this is definitely a formula that's going to work for everything. It doesn't matter if it's pearls. It doesn't matter if it's the Asian knotting cord. You can do this with everything. The formula still applies. It's all about the different sections and the lengths, and then adding those together, and then taking into consideration the adjustability size of that, because I think people forget about the biggest measurement there. Like, we know how small the bracelet's going to be. That usually seems to happen with no problems, but it's the one where you adjust it to the fullest openness. That's the question that a customer will ask that you won't be able to answer. So hopefully now I have solved that problem for you, and you'll be able to give your customers as much information as you possibly can, which is going to make you stand out from the guy in the booth next to you. Trust me. Silk 2, yes. All right, friends, thank you so much for hanging with me this afternoon. I appreciate you so much. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your afternoon and a wonderful weekend. And I will be back with you guys soon. Same time, same place.